this video, we'll be looking at writing an exponential function using 2 points. So we're going to write an exponential function y equals ab to the x whose graph passes through the given points. So number 1, I have the points 1, 6, and 3, 54. And so remember with points, my first number is my x coordinate and my second is my y. And so I can actually plug both of these points into my equation here to get 2 different equations. So when I plug in 1, 6 into here, I get 6 is equal to a b to the first. And then when I plug in my second point, I get 54 is equal to a b cubed. And so my goal here is to figure out what my a value is and what my b value is, so I can actually fill in what my function is here. And so I have a system of equations here, so I need to figure out either one of them first. I see both of these have just an a here, so I'm going to solve my very first equation here for a and substitute that into my second equation, and then that way I can find the value of b. So if I rearrange this first equation, I have 6 is equal to ab. If I want to get a by itself, I can divide both sides by b, and then I get 6 over b is equal to a. And now I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my second equation here. So then I have 54 is equal to, instead of a, I have 6 over b times b cubed. So all I did was substitute that in. And so when I multiply those, I get 54 is equal to 6b cubed divided by b. And then when you remember our law of exponents and our quotient rule said that I can subtract those exponents. So remember, this is really b to the first. And so I get 6 times b to the 3 minus 1, which gets me 2. And then I can divide both sides by 6. And I get 9 is equal to b squared. And then take the square root of both sides, and I get that b is equal to 3. So I have my b value for my function. Now I need to figure out what my a is. Well, I know that a is equal to 6 over b, so that means that a is equal to 6 over 3, which we just found b to be equal to. So that means that a is equal to 2. So plugging that into my y equals ab to the x, I get that y is equal to 2 times 3 to the x power. Okay, let's try another one. So here I have the points 2, 16, and 5, 2. So I'm going to first create my system of equations. So this 2, 16, plugging the x and y into y equals ab to the x, I get 16 is equal to ab squared. Plugging in 5, 2, I get that 2 is equal to ab to the 5th. And now I need to solve one of these for a. I like to always just go with the top one because that has a smaller exponent on my b. And so solving that top one for a, I just need to divide b squared to the other side. So I get 16 over b squared is equal to a. And now I'm going to go ahead and substitute that into my second equation. And so when I do that, I get that 2 is equal to 16 over b squared times b to the 5th. When I multiply those, I get 16b to the 5th divided by b squared. Well, b to the 5th divided by b squared, I subtract those exponents and I get 5 minus 2, which is 3. Oops, sorry, that should be a b cubed. And then I can divide both sides by 16. 2 divided by 16, if I simplify that fraction, I get 1 over 8. And then to get rid of that cubed, I'm going to take the cubed root of both sides. And when I take the cubed root of 1/8, I get 1/2 is equal to b. So I have my b value. Now I need to figure out my a. Well, I know that a is equal to 16 over b squared. So that means that a is equal to 16 over 1/2 squared. Well, 1/2 squared, I get 1/4. And then 16 divided by 1/4, I get 64. So that means that my equation of this function is y is equal to 64 times 1/2 raised to the x power. Okay, let's look at a real-world problem. Number 3 says a store sells trampolines. The table shows the number of trampolines y sold during the x year that the store has been open. Write a function that models the data. So here, if you were to create a scatter plot using Desmos and that table tool, you'll see that the points look like they're creating an exponential model. And so we can choose any 2 points to write a model just like what we did in the previous 2 problems to come up with a function. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this first point, and then I'm also going to choose 436. It doesn't matter which ones you choose though. And so I have the points 112, 436. So creating my system of equations from that, I get from that first point that 12 is equal to AB to the first. And that second one, I get 36 is equal to AB to the fourth. So solving that first equation for A, I just need to divide B to the other side, and I get that A is equal to 12 over B. And so now I want to go ahead and substitute that into my second equation. And when I do that, I get 36 is equal to 12 over b times b to the fourth. Simplifying that right-hand side, I get 12b cubed. And then dividing both sides by 12, I get 3 is equal to b cubed. And then to get rid of that cube, I need to take the cubed root of both sides. And so here I see I don't get a whole number, and so just rounding that, I get that b is approximately 1.44. And now I can substitute that in to find a. And so I get that a is equal to 12 over b, which is 1.44. And so a is approximately 8.32. So that means that my function becomes y is equal to a, which is 8.32, times b, 1.44, raised to the x power.